Hello and welcome to this little video diary. In this video I would like to talk about the game Alien Rage by City Interactive and give you my impression of the game after completing the main campaign on the difficulty challenging. As you might see in the video, this game is a first-person shooter, and the short version of the story is that you are there to kill a bunch of aliens. So, let's get right into talking about the meat of the game. The combat, is it any good? Yeah, it's pretty nice actually. So the positive things about the combat is that there are quite a lot of weapons, 10 to be exact, and they look and feel quite good, and they are quite fun to use. The enemy variation is also quite good. There are flying types, there are big armor types, there are smaller guys, and there are guys that go invisible and flank you from behind. So there are quite a lot of different enemies, and there is also a fair amount of bosses to spice up the gameplay. Not to mention that there's also a mecha section. There are perks you can use to customize your playstyle. There's also at some sections miniguns and the bigger guns like that you can pick up and use until they are out of ammo. So the combat is overall quite enjoyable and it looks nice, and it does however have some problems. For starters, the game has a 2 weapon limit, which annoys me greatly, because there's just a bunch of cool weapons in the game that I never used, because it didn't make any sense to, for example, have a sniper take up one of your spots. Another thing that is a bit annoying is that your character can't jump any more than 1 centimeter or so you can't jump over any obstacles in the game world itself, which is just dumb to be honest, and it hurts the flow of the combat, and it feels just silly that you can't jump over small crates and the like, and it makes the game world feel like it has a bunch of invisible walls everywhere. Now the AI worked for the most part fine, more than fine, it worked excellent, but at some occasions some AI didn't notice me, and sometimes it occurred that AI continued shooting at the wall between me and him, so which is kind of dumb. And I would also like to mention that the bosses in the game can be a bit of bullet sponges, and most boss fights are basically you running around in a small arena shooting everything you have at the boss until he goes down. And sometimes you shoot at yellow barrels that explode, but they could do a little bit more with the boss fights perhaps, but they were still nice, and it's nice that they have put them in, and so many of them. Now I would also like to mention the difficulty of the game. So I actually started with the difficulty hard, and I played a couple of chapters, but then I turned it down to challenging. And perhaps I should just get good, but I thought that the difficulty hard, that is the middle difficulty, could be a bit unfair at times. You could die extremely fast, and the checkpoint system in the game that I didn't have any real problems with on the difficulty challenging became extremely annoying, because you had to play through these sections over and over again. And in my opinion, the difficulty hard forced me into a very boring playstyle, and I didn't have as much fun until I switched it down to challenging. Then the flow of the gameplay became a lot more nicer. And but perhaps it was just me being bad. But I would recommend that if you don't have a good time with the game on half the difficulty, try changing it down a bit, because I found myself doing some pretty boring tactics to get through the levels, and you can abuse the health regeneration system, as you can always, so be wary of that. Okay, so let's talk about the levels of the game. So personally, I quite enjoyed the interior design of the ships, and overall the design of the game world was for me quite enjoyable and looked quite nice. Perhaps they could vary it a bit, There are a lot of corridors, space corridors, but I didn't have any major problems with it. And the game looks quite nice, to be honest. The levels themselves are, however, quite linear, and that is not enough. There have also loads of invisible walls. For example, if you see a ledge, then you can't run over that ledge, fall to your death, because there's an invisible wall there. And the game also displays an objective marker on your screen constantly. And I didn't find any way to turn it off, which was a bit annoying. Okay, let's talk a bit about the story of the game. So the story is about that we in the future have found a planet filled with a rare resource that we want, but we also encounter the alien race on that planet that also want to mine that same resource. And we get along at first, but then shit went down and we start to kill each other, and the aliens take over our spaceship. So we are sent there to kill the aliens and blow them up. Now, this may not sound all that revolutionary, but it does the job and it works alright. The game do have a deeper background story that you can find in audio logs. However, the audio logs tell a story from the same person in a chronological order. So if you don't find all the audio logs, then you miss out on a huge part of the story, and this may cause you to lose interest. And it also doesn't help that you have to stand still and listen to the audio logs. But overall, I had some fun with the game. Thank you for watching this video, and bye bye.